If you want to go ultralight, but what you see out there doesn't make a lot of sense to you, like you'll be sleeping on a thin foam pad under a super small tarp and with an unsupportive frameless backpack, then this gear list will change your mind. In this video, we'll go over all of my gear, why I chose it, some alternatives to the gear choices that I made, and lastly, I'll go over some ideas to make ultralight hiking less expensive. So I've worked for 6 years and over 2,000 miles of hiking to develop this kit into an ultralight, but objectively comfortable, safe, and durable gear list. This year is even better. Warmth is up, I have full rain gear now, but it's still under 7 pounds. Let's start with the big four. That's your backpack, your tent, your quilt, and your sleeping mattress. So the first is the KS40 backpack from KS Ultralight. There's no other backpack even close to this that carries exactly what I need for so little weight. This backpack will carry 27 pounds, but only weighs 15 ounces. Other ultralight backpacks on the market are rated to 35 or 40 pounds, and those backpacks weigh double what the KS40 weighs. An example of this is the Hyperlite Mountain Gear 2400. To me, there's no need to get backpacks like that rated to 40 pounds if all I'll ever carry is 27 pounds. It carries that 27 pounds because of these frame stays, these rods that move the length of the pack and kind of move all the forces directly down to the hip belt. Also because of the pad pockets where you can put just a ton of cushioning in there. There's a big foam mat in there right now. So that's why it holds 27 pounds. When you order it these days, it will have bigger shoulder straps than are on my backpack, and that's a good thing. Be patient with this website. It's a bit antiquated, but get your ideas together and email him. The owner, Laurent, he's not gonna let you do anything stupid. So next is the tent. It's the Tarp Tent Aeon Lee. This tent was a huge upgrade for me last year. It goes up quickly. The strut system in the back gives great wind resistance. It can fit into tight spaces. My gear can fit inside. It doesn't need a lot of stakes. On most nights, you can have both doors rolled up. The mesh door doesn't fall into the dirt. It has great details like magnetic tiebacks, and I especially like how this tent hunkers down in storm mode. The only two downsides is that it's harder to pack into a backpack, especially with a full load of food. It's not impossible, but it's definitely harder and it's a little bit annoying. And then also the stuff sack has a couple problems. One, the cord rips out way too easy. It did on mine. And also the stuff sack needs to be larger for on those like frosty mornings when you're putting a tent away that has a little bit more volume. The stuff sack is just a little too tight for that. The next is the Thermarest Uberlight. This pad is 25 inches wide, which I consider the minimum width I'll ever carry. 25-inch wide pads allow me to toss and turn, which is good because all that tossing and turning keeps blood moving through your tissues. 25-inch wide pads also keep my elbows on the pad, which helps me prevent waking up. Honestly, if they made lighter weight 30-inch wide pads, I would use those too. I do not care about the weight when it comes to a good night's sleep. However, I cannot recommend this sleeping pad to everyone. It uses the lightest material ever used in a sleeping pad, and the only reason why I think mine has lasted over 25 nights is because I use a 1/8 inch mat underneath it to protect the bottom. If you're searching for a mattress to use on a thru hike, I would pick the noisy but otherwise perfect Thermarest X-Lite. Next for my quilt is the Nunatak RQL quilt. I just have it folded over right now. I use a quilt because I like to have the quilt strapped down to the mattress, which makes me free to rotate in the quilt without disturbing any of the down. It's one of the things that many people miss when describing the benefits of quilts. To me, there's no better quilt than the Nunatak. It has vertical baffles that are narrow baffles, and each one of those baffles tapers a little bit, and each one of the baffles is well stuffed with down, which controls the down very well, especially as the bag ages and the down wants to move a bit more. It has a waterproof neckline right here in case your breath freezes on it. The cinch cord is off to the side so it doesn't flop over into your face at night. And you can't see it right now, but it has a custom foot box that's foot shaped and it's wide, which is super important. New versions of this also come with a tensioning system on the backside that kind of hugs the quilt closely to your body. And lastly, the best thing about Nunatak is that you can fully customize the quilt, getting exactly what you want. Getting what you want is the ultimate design. Okay, so let's go through the rest of my packed gear. Here's the Gossamer Gear 1/8 inch thin light pad. It's a CCF pad. It's the padding for my backpack. It also helps protect and raise the warmth of my air mattress. It also prevents my air pad from slipping on my tent floor. It's a backup pad should my air pad ever pop. I take midday naps on it. It's my sit pad. I can even wrap it around my torso or waist for emergency warmth. No other piece of gear does so many things. I can do so many things. Next is the Big Sky pillow. I use my buffer around it as a pillowcase. It's only 1.5 ounces but has great surface area, height, and durability. It can also be turned into a camp lantern by strapping your headlamp to it, pointing the beam down into the pillow, and turning it on. It sheds really good lantern light.
Wow!
The stakes I'm using this year are Rudolocura carbons and Easton nanos. I had one reviewer of mine tell me that MSR mini groundhogs didn't do too well in a storm, so right now I'm shying away from those. Next, let's go over my extra clothing and my rain gear. My rain jacket is the Frogg Toggs Ultralight. After 6 years, if there was something better, believe me, it would be in this list. This jacket is light, it's reasonably durable for walking on trails, it's patchable, it has great mechanical venting. Really the only complaint is that it doesn't compress well in a pack. New to me this year are Montbell Versalite rain pants. I decided this year to do full rain gear because it's a little bit safer to have rain protection in surprise lengthier rains or rains that are at high altitude. They weigh only 2 ounces more than wind pants and may allow me to leave my thermal leggings at home for most all of my trips. My insulation for my legs when I'm walking and sleeping are the Patagonia lightweight Capilene tights, and they're good to about 25 degrees Fahrenheit. On most short trips where weather looks good, I never bring these. So my new active insulation piece for this year is going to be the Skylight Gear Alpha Direct hoodie. The material from Polartec is called Alpha, and it was developed for the US Special Forces. It's been available for 7 years, but companies have been attaching it to really kind of overbuilt shells or less breathable shells that make no sense for hiking. But recently, companies like Rab and MacPack have been making pieces with bare, unshelled Polartec Alpha, and the reports back have been really good. Alpha looks like a fuzzy fleece, and it is, but all that fuzz is attached to a stretched lattice that has a lot of open space. This open space allows people to dump heat quickly. So if it's windy, this material will let wind take a lot of your warmth away. This sounds bad, but it's the best thing about the material because you can wear it on its own in higher temperatures with no wind, but when you put a shell over it, it can go deep into lower temperatures. I've only had this hoodie for 1 day, but I put a shell over it and it was doing really well with 34-degree temperatures outside, 15-mile-an-hour winds, and overcast skies. So that's pretty cold. On cold mornings, I plan on putting my hiking shirt and sun sleeves over this piece. My hiking shirt and sun sleeves will kind of act like a wind shirt in this way. This strategy kind of makes sense to me because I'll wake up with the hoodie on and I can put the shirt on right over it and get going. If I need more protection, I'll put on my rain shell next. The only thing you have to remember about this hoodie is that it's not going to like bushwhacking too much because all that fuzziness is going to catch on branches. But if you're just using it on hiking trails, it should be fine. I mentioned Rab and MacPack. The availability of their Alpha pieces in North America is almost non-existent, and Skylight Gear is taking very limited orders. Skylight Gear doesn't even have a website yet, so follow him on Instagram and keep watch for when he's making these hoodies again. For insulation when I'm just sitting around, but also to help out my sleep system, is the Bora down jacket. This jacket has 3.3 ounces of 850 fill insulation, and that is a good amount of down for 3-season use. Make around 3 ounces your target, maybe even on the higher side of 3 ounces. Be sure to get jackets that have wide baffles like this. This allows the baffle to get more thickness away from your body. It also means less sew lines, and that's good because each of those sew lines, there's no insulation, so they're literally cold spots. So shy away from all jackets that have a bunch of sew lines. This jacket unfortunately is discontinued, so look to Nunatak, Goosefeet Gear, Timmermaid, or even Montbell. So in years past, super thin polyester gloves like this have kind of let me down in certain situations, and that's why I'm going to get the Stronghold mittens from Enlighten Equipment. I don't have them yet, but this is what they look like. The best thing about this is that they weigh only a fraction of an ounce more than these thin polyester gloves, but they're triple the warmth. I think gloves are important. A lot of ultralight people like to walk with their hands in their pockets, and as a student physical therapist, this drives me nuts because that's way less safe. So I like to have gloves that are burly enough that I can just have them outside of pockets at all times. New to me this year are Injinji liner calf socks. I'm in a physical therapy program and we're learning that the thinnest barrier possible is often best, and we'll see how these work. They're a little bit annoying to get on in the morning, no doubt, but I do think toe splay is a thing, and I'm willing to just spend a little bit of extra time so I can get that toe splay over 50,000 steps a day. Next is my mosquito head net. I never travel without it, partially because I keep my extra clothes in it. Also, if you put this head net over a down balaclava while you're sleeping, it lets you cowboy camp longer into the mosquito seasons. Next, let's go over my ditty bag items. First is a Z-Packs Cuban ditty bag. This weighs as much as a plastic bag, but it will last years longer. Next is the Nitecore Nu 25. I like it because it has enough brightness and battery time to safely night hike for 4 hours. When you're night hiking, carry the headlamp in your hand and hold it low. When you hold it low, it casts better shadows over the rocks and it makes it a safer night hike. It's also great for shining on Sasquatches. Westcott sewing scissors are functional and super light. A simple squeeze bottle of soap. I think soap surfactants and the ability to clean the body and clothes make it a better call over using hand sanitizer. A Bamboo Kids toothbrush that is insanely light, but it can be cut down even further. I always take matches, but sometimes I take a Bic lighter. Honestly, I think matches are a little bit more reliable. I also carry Leukotape. It's on the Westcott scissors. I like Leukotape because it breathes well and it could stick to skin for weeks. I use Leukotape in conjunction with these sterile pre-packed gauze rolls for any cuts I have. I use the two to make a band-aid that will stick for days. There's no reason to carry band-aids when Leukotape and this gauze work better. The drugs I carry are antidiarrheal, antihistamine, and ibuprofen. I carry them mostly to help other people, and I've only ever taken a few ibuprofen. My sewing kit right here consists of some high-quality Gutermann Tex 40 thread and a large-eyed needle. Try to pre-thread that needle so you don't have to fumble around with it when your hands are cold. I carry Cuban tape to repair the shelter, but it sticks well to a lot of things, and I always carry a larger patch for larger repairs. New to me this year is Tenacious Tape Flex Tape. I'll use it to patch any air pad pops, and if my water filter bag gets a hole in it, I'll use this to patch that as well. This tape needs to be trimmed to shape, so it's another good reason to bring the Westcott scissors. Lastly, I have a small compass and thermometer. Now let's go over my electronics. So this is a 5,000 milliamp USB-C PD power bank from Novu, but it's also made by Xsense, and it has the ideal amount of power to get me through 4 days of backcountry hiking. With a test meter, I measured its real output at 2,700 milliamp, which is slightly less efficient than well-known brands such as Anker. It's not commonly known, but even the best power banks are only 66% efficient. So that Anker 10,000, you're really only getting 6,600 milliamps out of it. It will fast charge your devices on trail with 18 watts of output, and in town the power bank will recharge in just under 2 hours, which is good for quick town stops. This new wall charger is from Anker. It only weighs 1 ounce and it fast charges all of my electronics. Note the interface, it's USB-C, so you may have to change out cords and micro USB adapters, but nothing is lighter. All of these I've linked below. Now let's go over my food and my water system. So my entire cook system weighs just under 3 ounces and is perfect for my system of only cooking 1 meal per night. To me, there's no reason to bring some half-pound cook system when you're only cooking 1 time per day. The details are in the lighter pack below, but it's primarily made up of this 550 Tokes and a Mini Bowl Elite stove. Just to note, this whole cooking system weighs only 1 more ounce than a cold soaking jar. And in areas that have alcohol stove bans, you can cold soak inside of a Ziploc bag inside the pot. I have linked below what I carry if I'm using a gas canister setup. So my spoon is a custom-made pearwood spoon from handmaderecycle.com. The spoon shape is perfect for getting big bites of food and eating things like ramen. You can even order a specific handle length from them. For water purification, I take the Katadyn Be-Free 600 milliliter bag. No other filter is as fast. It has a wide bag opening that you can use as a water scoop at low flow water sources. It doesn't fall over in a side pocket like tall Sawyers sometimes do, and there's no plastic O-ring to lose like with the Sawyer. The main problem with this is the bag. I've used mine for over 40 days straight, so I know the bag is reasonably durable, but eventually this bag will get a hole in it. However, I think I can manage this problem by patching the bag with the Tenacious Tape Flex Tape. Overall, I don't consider this bag to be a deal breaker. Lastly, I just use a cheap plastic bottle for water storage. This bottle and the 600 milliliter carry of the Be-Free will get me 8 to 10 miles between water sources, and if I need more water, I'll just add bottles. Okay, so that's it for all of my gear. Next, I'm going to lay it all out, and I'm gonna go over some things that I sometimes bring. Let's start with down jackets. A down jacket isn't always the best. If I was in super rainy areas or in fringe seasons where I might have to hike in that coat, I would carry a synthetic jacket instead of down. There are great options from Nunatak and Enlighten Equipment. Speaking of down jackets, their hoods are not the best for sleeping in weather under 40 degrees, so I use a down balaclava on colder trips. It cinches right down around your mouth and nostrils, leaving nothing exposed, and gives you a really nice sleep. When I can't get reliable phone service, I'll bring the Garmin InReach Mini. It's great for letting people watch your progress. It's also good for messaging trail angels for rides, and of course calling for rescue for yourself or more likely for others. Also, for the sleeping pad, if you do huge miles, consider a foam mattress instead of an air mat. I learned in 2018 on the PCT that it's very possible to get very good sleep on a foam mattress, but you have to do that day in, day out hiking. For rain, if it's going to be hot and rainy and you're often in the woods, I bring an umbrella. Or if it's going to be cold and rainy for days, don't bring a Frog Togs, bring a Columbia OutDry or a Gore-Tex Shake Dry coat. These jackets are heavy, but they don't wet out and they'll do really good battling day after day rain. Also, I sometimes bring bug spray, but I'd rather stop bugs by the clothes that I wear. Just much easier. It's kind of a pain to put bug spray on. And then a little mini chapstick if it's going to be cold weather, and then always sunscreen sticks if it's going to be sunny areas. Sunscreen sticks are so much better than just lotion sunscreen. I highly recommend that you get these. You just can put it directly where you want. You don't have to get a bunch of lotion on your hands, so check out sunscreen sticks. Lastly, I understand that ultralight hiking gear can be perceived as expensive, and certainly sometimes it is. My particular setup cost me about $1,900, which is a lot of money. However, many conventional setups can reach well past $2,000, and it's because they're bringing more things than I do. The cost of my particular setup has really exploded, really inflated by 4 items out of my 39 item pack. So this year I'm going to do recommendations for the big 4 that are way cheaper than what I have, but that are still good. For a tent, I recommend the Six Moon Designs Lunar Solo. I saw this tent out in the wild for the first time this year in Washington, and I love the thing. It had tons of space, it has a burly floor, it's got a great denier on the upper tent and a nice wind shedding shape. That's $230. If you want something cheaper than that, then I think the 3F UL Lanshan Solo is good. A lot of people like to diss the nylon that's used from them, but recent nylons that company has been using have been tested and they've been shown to be some of the best nylons on the market. For a backpack, I think the Granite Gear Virga is an amazing backpack. It's been tested by thru hikers like Dan Stenziano, and it has great capacity at 52 liters. For a mattress, I would go for the Klymit Static V, both the insulated and uninsulated versions, because they're over 20 inches wide, they use really durable materials, 75 denier, and its R value is warm, but not too warm. For quilts, I would go straight to Hammock Gear for their economy quilts. They've been out for a few years now, and they are the standard in economy quilts. So I just went over my gear and some alternatives. One of the big things I want you to remember is no matter what I said about any of the gear in this video, the gear that you have is the best gear. So get out there and use it. All of this talk about gear and what I should get and what I shouldn't get, it's really sort of secondary to you just actually getting out there and hiking with what you have. But if you're interested in any of what I've talked about, there's links, and my lighter pack link is linked below where it is laid out all of what I just talked about. So this is where I turn it over to you. Let me know what your thoughts are about this gear list, how you might integrate it into your gear list, how things on your gear list you might integrate it into mine, and just let me know what you're using these days and what you think is good, what's not good. Below, if you get any of the items and you use any of the links, they are affiliate links, they are no cost to you. It really helps my channel. I have ideas for dozens of more videos, so this channel is gonna go on, but I would like to improve lighting, cameras, things like that. So that's it for this video. If you liked it, please like, favorite, and subscribe. You can also follow me on Instagram at Matt Shafter. And yeah, so you'll know whenever I upload, and I also do a little bit of uploading on Instagram. And I'll see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.